The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, North Star Alaska, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37248. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 downward-facing tow hooks. Moving up onto the face of the front bumper, dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. Just inside that location is your electronic siren and PA speaker. As we move up onto the cab face, on the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator. Just inside that location is the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Moving toward the center of the grille, you'll find your mechanical siren. Just over the headlight structure is your emergency warning lights, forward facing. You'll also find just over the Pierce logo an additional forward-facing emergency warning light. On the outer edge of the A-pillar, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, there are 5 identification clearance lights. On the roof area, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Located just above that is where you'll find your emergency warning light. Located inside the emergency warning light in the very center is your Opticom. Let's take a look at some of those items that we just talked about, first starting with the front bumper. We'll go ahead and now move to a full side photo of the vehicle, and we'll specifically start in the cab section next, starting first with the side-facing emergency warning light. Just up from that location is the marker light located right next to the turn signal. Easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are your door lock and latches. They are keyed, and right next to those you'll find a grab handle for gaining entry and exit into the cab for 3 points of contact. Moving directly over the front axle is where you'll find your Shoreline auto eject. Just above that, an indicator when plugged into Shoreline power. To the right, you'll find an emergency warning light side facing. As we move to the very top of the roof line, side facing scene lights, and then to the rear of the cab wall is where you'll find an LED water tank level indicator specifying the level of water in your tank. Moving to the rear of the apparatus, just in front of the rear axle, folding wheel chock storage. Also a marker turn indicator light. Near the tandem axle is where you'll find the side-facing emergency warning light. This is part of your lower emergency warning zone lights. As we move up to the top, recessed side-facing scene lights. Hard suction storage location. And then to the very rear at the top section, you'll find an emergency warning light. Moving to the rear of the apparatus, you'll find first at the top an emergency warning light, brake, turn, and reverse light. There are also 2 cupped switches located here. One controls the air dump and the other controls your hose bed lights. Just above that, emergency warning light. There are 2, one in the lower section and then one all the way to the very top section. At the very top of the hose bed is where you'll find a rear-facing floodlight. As we move down to the very bottom section, this is where you're going to find the rear-facing tow hooks, LED water tank level indicator, recessed backup camera, 2.5-inch female rear inlet, let's move around to the passenger side. Full view. And we'll focus in on the body section. First starting at the very top section with your ladder storage location. And then also as we move just forward of that of the axle is where you'll find the exhaust location. Same configuration and layout as the driver's side. As we move to the cab, same configuration as the driver's side. The difference here is your air inlet. We're now to the driver's space. Let's first start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information. Also a grab handle, electric window control, door lock, and latch. In the step well area, you'll find your air inlet located at the very base section. As we move inside the cab, I'd like to direct your attention to the yellow placard. This yellow placard is the informational placard from the manufacturer for your fire department, indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and also fluid type. As we move to the floorboard, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal. Just up about the left knee of the operator is the master battery switch. It's a quarter turn. And then just to the right of that location is where you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions for its operation from road to pump, and then also from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump, indicating before pump operations in leaving the cab area. Let's move up to a switch panel located just above the pump switch. You'll find the ignition, start, DPF regen inhibit, load manager, and also load manager indicators. Moving just to the right of the steering column is where you'll find the yellow diamond. It's the pull to apply our system parking brake and push to release. Let's move to the dash cluster. On the left-hand side, you're going to find the tachometer, oil pressure, water temp, and transmission. Moving just to the right, you'll find the speedometer, also the fuel level, DEF level, front air, and rear air. There are also tally light information both in the center and right and left side of the tach and speedometer. General view here, looking to the right of the driver's space. Let's first start at the very left with the interaxial differential lock. This is intended to be used on slippery and wet surfaces. Moving just to the right, switch panel for the fan clutch, headlights, washer, wiper, dimmer, and SRS fault indicator. Moving just down to the next set of switches in the lower section, we'll start first on the left, where we'll find the engine brake on and off, a setting switch for the engine brake for low, medium, and high, a protected switch, which is your diff lock, and that's an on-off switch, diff lock activated, tire chains, which is a protected switch, and then off-road traction. Moving just to the right of this location is the monitor for your backup camera system. And we'll move just to the right of this location. We'll identify the high idle, OK to engage the high idle, and then also some caution information regarding your retarder. Moving just to the right, Allison transmission pad. If you choose to check oil level, you can from this by pushing the plus and minus simultaneously. This will display the information in the monitor area. Also, to get out of that, just simply push neutral. To the right, you'll find your flat and convex mirror control, and then also water tank level indicator and all of your window controls. Moving to the right, you'll find the siren brake for your mechanical siren, and then also 12-volt access, climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost, an additional set of switches underneath that for the Opticom, a selector switch for air horn or electric horn, mirror heat, high beam flash, mechanical siren or horn, and then also the red switch is the mechanical siren brake. Moving to the right, you have a cutout location here for additional storage. Moving overhead of the driver's seat, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 11 feet 0 inches, length 33 feet 7.75 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 68,800 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle, please update this placard. Moving just to the right of this location, we have a switch panel housing the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of those switches have been activated, the light in the switch will activate. Moving just to the right of this location, electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving further to the right, an additional switch panel housing your master scene, front scene, driver scene, passenger scene, rear scene, and perimeter lighting. Once again, when any switch has been activated, the light will illuminate in the individual switch. Moving just to the right of this location is where you'll find the unit radio. General view here of the ceiling portion. We'd like to draw attention to the red light. This is the do not move your apparatus. If the light is on, it's indicating you have a compartment or door open. General view to the rear of the apparatus. Let's move exterior now. This is your auto eject. When plugged into Shoreline Power, the Auto Charge Status Center will indicate and provide information about your battery status. As we move to the front axle, you have Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge into the center axle. As we move to the rear cab area, let's start first with the door panel, a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window control, grab handle, door lock and latch. As we move to the rear portion, general view, there are two rear-facing seats which do house SCBA's, overhead additional storage. As we move to the rear, you'll find an enclosed compartment with a roll-up compartment door. As we move directly behind the officer seat, when plugged into Shoreline Power, this outlet becomes active, activating battery charger. Also, you'll find at the rear access for your daily checks for oil and transmission. General view here into the space at the rear cab wall. Adjustable shelves, LED lighting, and also a Shoreline outlet. Just to the right and left, you'll find additional flashlights located here and charging base pedestals. At the rear of the officer seat, you'll also find your base unit radio. As we move to the exterior, let's focus in on the pump panel area. Just above that is where you'll find backboard storage location, accessible both from the passenger and driver's side. As we move to the cross lays, there are three: pre-connect 1, 2, and also a blitz line. What I'd like to point out is a warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Because of the lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Just to the right, D-handle gains you access into the dunnage area. This is accessible from the driver's side. Let's start now in the pump panel. In the upper left, you're going to find your unit radio. Also, you'll find two master gauges here: pressure and intake, water level indicator, Hale thermal relief valve indicator. Just underneath that, your vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. Intake relief valve. There are instructions for its operation on the placard. As we move down, you'll find all of the color-coded and labeled discharges. Directly in the center of the valve cluster is where you'll find an electric control valve. This is for your deck gun. And then just below that, you'll find a red push button. This is the air horn. Moving just to the right, you'll find the passenger side rear auxiliary inlet. And then as we move to the right, you'll find the tank fill and recirculating line. Moving to the very far right, we have additional switch panels and also a gauge heater. Moving down, you'll find the large diameter passenger side discharge. There are two 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. In the very center is where you'll find the pressure throttle governor. Just underneath that, you'll find a audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate, allowing you to dampen or increase sound. Just to the right is where you'll find the air prime push to prime. There are instructions below that for at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices. Also, as we move to the right, you'll find the tank to pump. Moving further down, you'll find the MIV. This is for your inlet. And then just to the right, your main inlet. It's the American flag Eagle Pierce logo. We do have a few warning indicators here regarding warning. Pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. Let's move down to the left-hand side where you'll find the auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch locally controlled here at the ball valve. Moving further to the right, you'll find a garden hose connection point for gross decon, and then also all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving just to the right, you'll find the pump drain, and then directly under that, in the very lower right-hand corner, is the manual pump shift. Let's go back and take a look at a few of the placards that we need to identify. First, your hail placard indicating the type of pump that you have. Also, the minimum operation maintenance schedule for testing for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left is the associated GPM at test pressure, and on the right, the associated RPM at test pressure. It governs speed of the vehicle while in pump, 2,100 RPMs. Mounted on the forward vertical wall surface is where you'll find your MasterStream device control module. As we move down to the compartments throughout the vehicle, first starting in this compartment with the pegboard on the rear wall, adjustable shelf, and then also a toolbox in the lower section. Shoreline power outlet. This will become active when plugged into Shoreline power. Toolboard located here. D-handle gains you access to the rear portion of the toolboard. Also the fill location for your DEF, which is the blue cap. There is a lock on the rear portion of that which will allow you to lock and unlock the toolboard in position. Here's the DEF tank. It's a 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. It's the blue cap. As we move toward the tandem axle, once again, Michelin tires and Alcoa wheels. In between those tandem axles, where you'll find SCBA bottle storage location here. Moving to the next compartment, a toolboard located here. D-handle gains you access once again, and it will lock into position. Release located on the rear portion of the toolboard. As we move to the very bottom, once again, rear tandem axle, Michelin tire, and Alcoa wheel. Just to the rear of that axle is where you'll also find the fill location for your ultra low sulfur diesel fill. That's the silver cap, and then also SCBA bottle storage in the compartment just above that. Very rear compartment, adjustable shelving and LED lighting in the compartment. Also inside the compartment, a Shoreline outlet. Once again, when plugged into Shoreline power, this outlet will become active. Full view of the driver's side, all compartments open. Let's go ahead and move around to the rear of the apparatus and identify a few items within this area. First, let's start at the very bottom where you have two switches, the air dump and then also hose bed lights. A couple of warning placards here indicating fall. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. Also warning placard here indicating entanglement hazard. From the lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Pressure hazard indicating caps may be under pressure. Also indicator warning, do not ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Let's identify a few of the items. First with the water tank level indicator here just below the Pierce logo, and then just over the Pierce logo or directly above in a recessed location is your backup camera. Also a rear inlet. This is controlled from the pump panel area, female coupling. As we move to the very bottom section, you'll find some warning placards here indicating direct pull for these two attachment points. There are two hose bed dividers located here. They are movable. As we move around to the passenger side of the vehicle, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and also Shoreline outlet. Just underneath this compartment outside in the very bottom section is where you'll find the air tank drain. Also the rear inlet drain. Let's move forward to the next compartments. Adjustable shelving, SCBA bottle storage to the rear of the axle for 2 SCBA bottles. Moving now through the tandem axle. As we move in between the tandem axle, SCBA bottle storage here for 3 bottles with retaining straps. Moving to the forward axle, SCBA bottle storage for 2 bottles in addition with a compartment, roll-up door, and also an adjustable shelf. I would like to point out your diesel exhaust also discharges on the passenger side of the vehicle. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen operations. Moving through the next compartments, once again LED lighting and Shoreline outlet. Just underneath this compartment, you'll find the air tank drain. Moving now into the pump panel on the passenger side, we'll start at the very top section at the crosslay area. Just forward of that location is our backboard storage location, accessible both from the passenger and driver side. Also the pre-connects for the blitz line, pre-connect 1 and 2, and a warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. As we move down to the pump panel at the very top section, we do have some access doors located here. Lift and turn latch gains you access into this area. As we move into the pump panel on the very left side, you'll find 2 control valves. This is the pump compartment heaters. And then as we move back out on the left-hand side, this is the powered equipment rack for your ladder. There are instructions for its operation on the placard. Also, the number 2 passenger side discharge. Moving just to the right, we have a warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Further to the right is the large diameter passenger side discharge, and then just forward of this location is where you'll find the cab lift. There are instructions on the placard for raising the cab and also lowering the cab. Because of the movement of this device, we do have some danger and caution placard information here. Please ensure all items are secure with inside the cab. As we move down to the lower left, you'll find the manual control valve for the MIV, and then also just to the right, this is your Pierce logo American flag eagle. This is the passenger side large diameter inlet. To the left, you'll find a direct tank fill. This is a 2.5 inch, locally controlled via the ball valve. All of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains, and then also a passenger side auxiliary inlet, 2.5 inch, locally controlled via ball valve. As we move into the cab area, we'll identify a few items here, starting first with the door panel, a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, grab handle, window control, and also lock and lever control. Overhead, you'll find the 2 compartments directly over the SCBA area. Those do have LED lights inside, 2 rear-facing seats with SCBA bracketed housings. On each side of that compartment, we have additional flashlight storage location. As we move to the exterior, this is the inlet for your engine. As we move to the front axle, you're going to find Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel, visual sight gauge indicator. Moving now into the officer's space. First, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. Moving inside to the dash area, your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. That's the informational placard indicating you have an airbag. Also to the right, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid, and then also a glove box just under the grab handle. As we move to the left, we have 12-volt access via barrel style and USB, air horn, mechanical siren, and then also your vehicle data recording port. I would like to point out you may see these wiring stickers throughout your vehicle, red and white, indicating that there is spare wiring behind the panel. It does have the option number indicating the type of wire behind that panel. As we look overhead, you'll find push on and off red and white lenses. In the forward section, you'll find the FireCom control module. You'll also find the Pierce informational seatbelt, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green they're in the seat and belted. Just underneath that location, you'll find the FireCom wireless base system. As we move to the exterior, all compartment doors open. Let's take a look at the cab section or roof area at the very top. This is a non-walking surface, and we do have some placards here indicating that this is a non-walking surface. Let's go ahead and move now to the dunnage area, full view of the area. We'll focus in on the dunnage where the nozzle is located for your MasterStream device. This is electrically controlled from down at the very bottom from that control module mounted on the pump panel. As we move to the ladder storage area, water tank fill, drafting tubes, we'll go ahead and move now into the chassis and undercarriage area. First, starting with the very bottom section, the yellow painted eyes here are not intended for towing use. These are for firefighter operational use. The very rear section, the black, are indicating for towing of the vehicle. Your vehicle is equipped with a Cummins X15 engine. As we move to the driver's side frame rail, you'll find the safety bar located in this area. When your cab has been fully tilted upright, please place this into position. Do not lower the cab onto that bar. Maintain equal pressure on both left and right cylinders. As we move to the battery box, just underneath this location, you'll find the negative and positive jumper stud. Also access here into the pump house area. There'll be no additional audio from this point going to the very end of the video. Congratulations, North Star Alaska, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37248. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.